Move forward to the special meeting of the Central Parish Police Jury for December 4th, 2024. And let the record reflect all members are present for Mr. Nakhan. Please rise for the prayer, be followed by the flag. God, who teaches us by sending the light of the Holy Spirit into our hearts, grant that by the light of that Spirit, right judgment may be ours, that we may ever find joy in his guidance. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A public comment period, we now accept public comment for any item on the agenda. Second call. Last call, let the record reflect no public comment. Discuss the water sector funds. We have South Central Planning, Ms. Ebony Baylor, and Pat Gordon here to discuss the options for the upcoming Water Sector Commission meeting. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I apologize for bringing you guys all here for a special meeting tonight, but thank you. Pat is going to be handing out an alternative possibility for you guys to consider for the water sector grant so that it can move forward. This is something that I developed with the rate specialist. Our office developed it and worked with him just to see what alternative options, if any, you guys have. Just to reiterate, we did go before the Water Sector Commission a couple weeks ago, and they did approve us to be able to come up with an alternative plan to present before them, so that we, recognizing that the goal of the grant is to be equitable to our citizens while also trying to achieve the initiatives of the state, which is to move these, safe water drinking, safe sewer, and so forth forward, okay? We did get approval for that. So this is a 3-year plan that I'd like you guys to consider, and I'll kind of walk you through it. So one of the issues that we discussed with the rate study person is that the state requiring us to go to the $55 amount does not take into account. They're asking us to do that based upon financial information that does not include the possibility of adding the additional 100+ customers come 2026. Okay. And so we said, well, that's, you need to be able to, there should be some flexibility there. Therefore, you're not, allowing us to make accurate financial projections. Okay. So the alternative is, and I'm going to skip quickly ahead to I'm sorry, just go to point 2, the current system overview, just so we're all on the same page. So right now, your system is currently serving about 355 customers. We did agree to a 38% rate increase in January of 2025. That would take you guys up from $24 to $33 a month. And then we are also anticipating some customer growth. You anticipate having an additional 10% increase once we improve the system to do some additional meter management. So that will be additional paying customers. It's about 36 customers is what the rate study specialist came up with. And then again, once the Yale Virginia system is completed, that will likely add 100 new customers is what they was told in 2026, okay? Underneath that, the cost of service currently, or I'm sorry, for 2025 would be 192,000 and change for the system. And I'm going to skip around here. Current operational cost is about 189,000. And so he made that projection for next year based upon some inflation factors and so forth, accounting for what it would likely be. He also, in these projections, also accounted for there'd be some decrease in salaries of about 20% as a result of the improvements in the system. And there would be a decreased need for some of the outside services. I believe that would be through Clearstream and some other entities, given that you guys, would have some improvements here. Going to point 3, this is one of the factors that we discussed at the Water Sector Commission, and I apologize for looking down. I'm just kind of going over this. So one of the things that OCD had issue with was meeting the 1.15 sustainability factor. as well as having a dedicated sewer fund. And this plan would incorporate or meet those concerns that OCD has. They don't want us to do transfers from the general fund. And so for context, they're looking to enhance the financial stability of the system, and minimizing the need to use, potential general tax revenues, that not all taxpayers are benefiting from the service. So just for a little context of why they're asking for that. And then they're also asking us to create some reserve funds. They're asking us to create a operations and maintenance fund of 15%, as well as a capital replacement fund. He made the annual contributions from that capital replacement fund would be about 25,000, and that was just a formula that he used based upon the generators to come to that figure for that amount, just so for reference. If you have more questions about it, I can elaborate. So going to number 4, these are the two options that we potentially came up with. So the first one is you could do currently under a 3-year plan to get to where OCD would like you guys to get. You could do a 38% increase in the first year, which is what you guys are already doing. And then after the 2 subsequent years, you would do a 12% increase in 2026 and a 12% increase in 2027. This would take you, that first line in 2025 would take, you go from 33, you'd have the revenue that would be generated from that would be 158,000. All you would need to transfer from the general fund for this first year would be 108,000. In 2026, if you raise the rate by 12%, you go to $36.96. That would take you to about 222,000. And then all you would need to transfer from the general fund to cover the difference is 21,000, which is a significant reduction of what you guys have been doing for the last several years. And again, that's at a rate of $36. And then in 2027, you would raise the rate to $41.40, taking you guys to roughly 248,000. And your last transfer for that, well, I say last transfer, but your transfer would bring, your general transfer would come all the way down to about $1,000. And I'm pretty sure you could find some sort of way to cut off somewhere $1,000. So this brings you to where OCD needs you to be. And that's at the 12% rate. But again, your top rate, I know that's not what you guys discussed, but that would bring it up to $41.40 as your rate. But that would help you guys, clear up some of the space. Your alternative option would be to increase the rate by 15%, okay? In 2025, that would take you, again, same numbers, it'd be the rate of 33, which you already approved, general fund transfer of 108,000. If you did it by 15%, you would go up in 2026 to $37.95. And your general fund transfer would be 15,000 roughly there. And then in 2027, if you increase the rate again by 15%, you would go to $43.64, generating 262,000, which is over what you need, and you don't have to do a general fund transfer in that 3rd year. So you're gaining about $12,000 if you go with the 15%. Now, again, I recognize this is not, but I wanted you guys to at the very least see these options and consider them. That being said, I want to kind of jump down to number. I want to jump down on my end, it's number 8, so it's the area entities providing the sewer service. I wanted to see what other entities that are providing sewer service in this area, what their rates are, so that you also take that into consideration in this decision. So it is going to increase it. I said, he had, anyway. These are just, other entities in the area. Magnolia is doing about $34 in some of their areas. I don't know how their breakdown. I didn't fully understand what they're doing. One was doing 69 and another was doing 42. So I will stop there. And I want you to take the time to process that, ask any questions, please, and just kind of give me your thoughts on this thus far. Someone?
The only thing I want to point out, and Paul and I have just briefly touched upon this, but I have concern about the adding an additional 36 households from the meter management, because I don't see that happen.
Okay. I'm not sure who he spoke to, but he said he spoke with the Fleester, and that's what because I was curious as to where the 10% was coming as well. And he said, I guess based upon what's currently happening, those are some accounted
We
for
were hoping
bills.
for that. I just don't think it's really turning into that. but
I
we're
gotcha.
hoping.
I gotcha.
I think we have probably more than that that's connected, that's not paying. Plus, we also need to look at what the state law is. This is a state law that's saying, if you're in a sewer district, should you be paying? You know,
But
because
you
we,
have to be connected.
you have to connect, yeah. So we need to look at some of those options.
From my understanding, it's not the state law, it was federal. When we got the funds, all houses were supposed to be.
So let
connected.
me ask you, so why did the jury not enforce that?
Well, we have to talk to the engineers. So do we have an as-built? Or do we just have a drawing as to what was supposed to happen?
Okay, I understand you saying talk to the engineers, but I know for a fact that jurors on this board knew that all residents wasn't being connected.
But then you have the answer right there, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just trying to figure out why wasn't it enforced if that was the way it's supposed to be from day one.
And from my understanding, residents had the option to opt out and not be connected.
I never.
They should never have had an option. If that was done, that was wrong. That should not have been.
Telling you,
That's what I heard.
that's the way it
Well, I
went
know,
when these
but-
system was.
That's what I heard.
That could have been how it was put in, and I was wrong. But we're trying to fix the wrong.
That's right. I'm with you. I'm
So
with
we
you
need-
100%.
So I guess we need to see what the law states in writing. And then we need to determine how we want to go, what do we want to enforce? Because I know for a fact that we do have some residents that's connected, that's not paying. That's without a doubt. But we have new people that have moved in some of these areas. They're connected to the system, not paying. We got some people that was in the areas already, ran into sewer problems, got connected and not paying. And I don't know, how do we fix the problem? Because unless we make everybody pay, because when you go get a permit, I don't think there's a process in place to say, okay, you're gonna get a permit, you're going into a sewer system area. We need to notify the water company that you need to be paying sewer now.
It is, it is.
It is in place now.
It is
It's
now.
in place.
Yes.
How long ago has it been in place?
It's been in place for years.
No,
Well,
no,
no, it
not for
didn't.
years.
It's been in place for years. On my sewer system, whenever someone comes to hook up, the water company calls.
On your sewer system.
Yes.
No, it's not private.
Yes, I have a private system.
We're not talking
No,
about
it's not
private,
private,
Jamie.
brother.
It's gonna be the same thing on any sewer system.
No, it's not not in these areas, Jamie. I'm telling you, it's not.
It should be.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be.
Ah.
So I
I
have
guess-
a question,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I guess my other question would be, so what would happen after the third year?
So we have up until, well, we have until the Water Sector Commission meeting, which is supposed to be next week. It hasn't been scheduled yet, so I'm waiting for confirmation from them. But we have to give them a decision on what direction we would like to go, because they have until the 30th to determine whether or not they're gonna fund us. They told us that unfortunately that's a hard deadline, and they're not gonna do any extension beyond that, because we were trying to push for an extension to give us more time, but they would not.
I guess my question is, so after the third year, just say we decide to go with option,
12% or
the
15%.
12%. Okay, so in 2027, the residents be paying 4140. I might can sell that. So 2028, is it gonna go up again?
Good question, and I'm sorry, I didn't elaborate. So one of the things that the rate study person said was, let me see, for the 12%, well, for either one, for 12%, what he recommends for a good sewer management, and forgive me, I'm not the expert in sewer management here, okay? He said it is beneficial because of the cost of inflation, the cost of different things, to continue to go up by a small percentage. So he said, if you go with the 12%, he recommends that you go between 3% and 4% as an increase each year after that. And forgive me, I didn't do a printout, but I certainly can and send it to you guys actually, wait, I.
Well, because I
I
would
have it in
think,
front of me,
the
because
the
it's,
reason for that is because the numbers are gonna be based on the expenses, and the expenses, we would assume
Steady go up.
until construction is over, are gonna steadily. increase.
one of the other things that he wanted to point out too was the capital reserve fund. So you guys are required to keep a capital reserve fund, but there's no restrictions on what you can do with the capital. I'm not saying use that for, for other things, but I'm saying there's some flexibility that you have with some of the funds that OCD is asking you to create. They're not set in stone where you have to only do it for certain things. But I do have And I apologize, I meant to print this out for you guys. So this is for the 12% increase would be if we start at year 2028, the first 3% increase would be $42.64. 29 would be 43.92, then 45.23. Again, if you opted to keep up with the inflation costs. So he just recommends that. Now, if you did the second option of the 15, you'd be able to actually skip that first year. You wouldn't have to do a rate increase in 2028 at all. And then the subsequent years, you would just go up by 2%. So you have a little flexibility there, but it is something he recommends y'all doing to stay on par with the system. Yeah.
I'm not sold on your general, I'm not sold on the number that y'all have based off the general fund transfers. Because if construction is set to begin in 2025, and by 2026, hopefully all systems will be online. That 21,000, I even think that that 108,000 is a big forecast. Because in 2025, at least one or two or maybe three systems should be online.
So you're thinking it might be lower than
I'm
that?
thinking it's gonna be lower, and then it's gonna be lower than that in 2026. And just based off the revenue, if we go with the 33,000, what's the percentage? Based off of that 158,000 that we'll be taking in versus prior year, which will be way less money that will be transferring from the general fund. So those numbers are high, in my opinion. But,
I would wonder if we could, or whatever option they would choose, if a proposal could be, if the actual expenditures are proven to be low, does this jury have the authority to make a reduction after construction is done?
That would be something, that's a good point. I could ask, we can certainly put it in there, and see what they say. I wouldn't be able to give you an answer. without-
No, I know that, but yeah, it would be a request that if.
Absolutely. Let me just jot that down, because that's a fair question.
Could be maybe like some type of drainage, like a drainage district goes to a certain percent, but they don't collect it. They don't collect so much of it. But if they have to collect it, they can.
Well, it's gonna depend on what they're gonna require us to keep in the reserves.
Yeah.
And another thing will be a big factor too. If the law states that everybody that stays in the district where you got a sewer seeking plan that should be connected and paying, you're looking at a lot more customers right there.
Absolutely.
Is this the actual number of customers? Did y'all go out and do a study to see the actual,
The rate study person did a study, and forgive me, I do not 100% know how he got the numbers. I
or is
believe
this
this is.
just a guesstimate?
I don't.
They got a lot of information from us, and I think they got
That
it
should be
from us
what's paying a month
customers.
at the water plant.
Paying customers,
No,
not
additional customers that will be added,
those,
additional customers that will be added.
just that 100 and that
it's that 100 if
36.
you're Virginia come online.
But that 365 should be what's being paid right now. How many customers paying right now?
That's correct.
Correct, I
Yeah.
agree with you.
It's the 36 and the 100, that's the math.
It should be more than 365.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if the law states that everybody should be paying that's in the district, then you'd be way more than.
Pat,
365.
can you all, CSBG is how that was funded way back when, for federal funding for the sewer plant. Do y'all have a contact that y'all could possibly call somebody and ask them what's the standard? Is it that all residents within the district are required to connect?
Oh, that's a state law.
It is a state law.
There we go.
I'll tell you that right now.
That's the way it's always was. Now,
Let me tell
why
you-
they did not get connected?
Let me tell you what we used to do in Terrebonne. We put in a system on the city VG and we put everybody on the water bill to pay for sewage. Even if they didn't connect. And, some connected, but we would charge them anyway for the sewage. And sure enough, they'd all connect because they had to pay for it. It was on their water bill. I don't know if y'all
I don't know how that's-
are collecting through the water
It
bill,
didn't,
but
it didn't slip.
that's
The
the way we
jury
do it.
knew about it. They didn't slip. But like I say, they didn't enforce it. I don't know why they
Yeah.
didn't enforce it. That was
How many do you
before-
think they have?
It's quite a few.
You think it's more than 36?
Oh, it's gonna be way more than 36. We talking about You got a Bertrandville community that was done, that's where the big confusion came in at, because some people fighting didn't want it. Then you have the Grant community that got involved and got it next. You have the Peterbilt system that came in. That's just in my ward. I don't know what all you got in your ward.
Everybody connected up the body.
Everybody connected in your ward?
Everybody connected. Everybody connected up the body.
Because that was done, Peterbilt, you know, within the last 8 years.
Peterbilt got completed probably my first year in office, when they did the connections, but the project started before I got in office.
I
Bertrandville,
want to say, it was all supposed to be connected because.
It was
I on
always
that
the
job.
instruction from here that the engineer was to connect everyone. Now, what took place after that?
I have no idea what took place. I know definitely in Bertrandville, everybody could get connected.
Send them the bill, they're gonna connect.
For me to get on board to say yes to this, I need some assurance that we're not gonna be asking residents $55 a month for sewer. I just can't commit to, you know,
Well, we could go to 12%,
We
right?
just have to see,
Well, 10 years from now, it may be $55
Yeah,
a
yeah.
month.
That'll be the first year.
the inflation, we're gonna have to just follow inflation.
Start off at 12% and then.
I'm kind of good with this 40, you know, with the 41 and the 3 years, because right now, I know the average place that I know in the area, they are paying right at $40 a month. You know, so within 3 years, we'll be at the $40 a month. And if, you know, from there, if we go up, you know, we have to go, up, you know, 2%, you know, a year, something like that, then I can understand. But the problem is, I don't wanna be faced with the same problem we just got faced with. We don't do no increases, and then we come back 9 years later and say, okay, we're going up $9.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big jump.
Well, the problem
been
is
talking
those
about
people
this
that are
increase for
connected are having
years.
to pay for those people that were.
That's
not
true,
connected.
too.
That's the
true,
problem.
That's
Had
true.
they been connected all the way, all along,
We may not be in the
These numbers
situation we in
wouldn't
now.
be as
Yeah,
bad.
it wouldn't be as bad.
And one of the other things that we'd be willing to help with, and I wanted to provide it tonight, I'm sorry, we've just been focused on this, is we could help you guys with helping to create literature to get out to your communities, you know, just like a little flyer and just saying, this is what the plan is for the next couple of years. Because I think kind of telling people, they're not gonna be happy. I mean, nobody's happy with increased money. I hate my grocery bill
I
right
mean,
now.
I know, I mean, if it come to the point where I say, okay, everybody, if you're in the district, you gotta be connected. Yeah, you got some upset folks, but at the same time, the law is the law. I can't change the law.
Right. And this does help the parish in the long run. So I mean, we'd be willing to help create some flyers that you guys could potentially pass out. So just food for thought if you guys are interested.
So I think we have two issues. We need to select one of these options if the jury chooses to move forward, and then separate and apart, regardless of that, we still need to make a motion or a decision to connect all houses in the districts and start billing them.
Yeah, that's the big issue. 'Cause I think if we do both, I think the numbers are gonna eventually go
Right,
down.
but we don't, and that's why that question to OCD would be beneficial, because if we can capture all those lost households, then these numbers might not have to be this substantial, but we can't get that done before next week.
Right.
All right, so the other factor to look at is if we choose to either not adopt a plan that's acceptable to OCD or just reject the water sector grant completely, then that means that the U Virginia Street project is gonna be cut because there's not enough funds to do that project.
Yeah.
All right, but there's a significant amount of funding for the total system that comes from U Virginia. You know, if we can get this funded through OCD and have the U Virginia with that amount of customers, there's way more customers on that system than any other system that's
That's the
active
most.
right now.
And one of the things, I'm a rate study person, and I apologize, we were trying to talk through this and putting prepared for tonight, but he said, if we removed, because I asked him about the option of removing Yale, Virginia. And he said, well, if you remove it, but you accept the grant, or you keep the grant, the rates are gonna go higher because you lose customers. Because if you remove it, you know, and of course, you know, remove it without the grant, then of course you have some flexibility, but just something I was like.
Right, so I think the only way that we can keep U Virginia in it is if we can be able to get the grant, you know, and So, I know you have percentages based in here. I guess, I would suggest that our target is to hit zero, transfer in 3 years. And so I think we would have to let them know that right now that's projected to be 12% a year, but that may be higher, may be lower, depending on what happens after these systems are in and we see how many are connected. So
Makes sense.
I don't want us to necessarily commit to 12% a
Right,
year.
exactly.
We may end up at
For sure.
$39.50, or we may end up at $43. You know, we don't really know where we're gonna be, but I think our goal would be to be self-sustaining in that fund and not have to subsidize from general fund.
I think one of the concerns OCD has though is the intention might be well, but if then somebody else gets into office and changes that, they want some assurance. So I don't know how we write that. I don't know if that's a resolution or an ordinance that says, if then this, or if then that. But I think you would have to put something in writing to demonstrate, like, this is our plan. And let's say we don't get that higher amount, this will then absolutely be our plan at the 12%.
I think our projection would still be the 12%,
Okay.
but I think it just has to be stated that that's subject to change depending on how the numbers shake out after these systems are rebuilt.
Makes sense.
But they may not
Absolutely.
accept less.
Right.
They're not gonna accept, well, we say 10 now.
Right. So I think it's just
Right.
a languaging thing, and we absolutely, what I can do is I can draft this up for you guys. I can present it to you guys in email tomorrow. Y'all can take a look at the language if you'd like, and just kind of go from there. But we can draft something that says, that creates a little bit of flexibility for you guys.
And we might be out of the red in 2 years.
That's what I'm saying. And who said we have to report back to OCD and let them know what we're doing?
If they're funding this project?
They're gonna fund it, I mean, we're following the plan, but it's just, I mean,
Listen, there are
just,
many entities
just
that I
those
would like
100
to
or
see get
150
out.
come online to where we're zero balance.
They
And we
send
can
monitors
come
to
down
look at
on the
all
rate
this
a little bit.
paperwork.
There's a lot of funds that come through OCD and they
Yes.
can easily just blackball us.
They
from
will-
getting-
They already done blackballed us. They blackballed us twice already for two projects. I don't think
But on the
OCD
flip
likes
side,
us.
they did give you guys leeway, unlike any other entity that I'm familiar with being able to come back with a plan. So, and this is the Water Sector Commission with OCD support. So I have to consider that too.
How many, and you may not know this, but of the sewer systems that are being funded, I know the majority of them are municipal systems where it is the entire municipality included in that sewer system. Are we unique in that we have the decentralized system, or are there other awards that were given to similar systems?
You know what, it was my goal. I've been trying to get access to the notes forever and it's just convoluted. So I have to go back because this is my next thing. I was trying to get all of this situated. My next thing is to go back and look at each of the systems that was awarded as well as the ones that were not awarded. And I will be able to hopefully come back to you guys with some information about what the type of system is, what was some of the reasoning and the rationale for what they were not. I wanted to have conversations with each of those. So that's my next step. I just didn't have that in preparation for tonight, so I'm sorry.
That's interesting.
Hmm?
That's interesting.
It's a lot of research. is all I'm saying. Pat stays past midnight, so he never goes home.
We do that.
All
I
right, so
mean, we
the,
not, look, I mean, we,
Let's move forward.
you know, we between the rock and the hard spot. I mean, I just prepared the residents with ease with the $33 and hey, they okay, they understand, we might have $500,000 worth of improvement, go, thank you, blah, 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 and now we're about to go up at next year, 26, and, I mean, the next following year, and the next following year, but
and, I mean, just looking at the other systems in the area, even the 33 is below
I
the
get it.
average, so it's, I think it's as fair as we could
Yeah,
possibly
I'm
be.
not
here.
saying it's not, I'm not saying it's not.
It's just not easy.
It's not easy, that's right. Not easy. So you think we got a shot with the 12%? Do you feel confident that who's going to the meeting with you next week?
We haven't decided yet.
You haven't decided yet?
I guess Mr. Blankenship, hopefully he can come again. He was a great help. The engineer came with us last time, so.
Make the best pitch.
It would be nice though if President Blanchard or one of you guys from the board would came as well, because I do know that they put time into that. The other thing that we're looking at doing is if you guys approve this, we are looking, our next step is to get letters of support from our congressmen to kind of get them on board as well, because I was told that that would be beneficial. So we'd be able to, I'll send you guys a copy of it tomorrow so that you guys could look at it, sign it and see if, or signed so that we can send it to them and see if they'd be willing to get on board. So,
That could have been done.
sorry, state.
State delegation,
Sorry.
not your
We
Congress.
could get it from the congressman too.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps.
So our deadline to have this submitted is December tenth, is Tuesday.
Okay.
But that's not necessarily when the Water Sector Commission is meeting. They hadn't put out their agenda yet
Yeah, correct.
to know, so we can't, I know I can't commit to making the meeting if I don't know what day it is yet, but, I can certainly try to,
Well, we can make a motion night on it.
but we have to.
We have to, we have no choice. We
So,
have no choice.
oh, yeah. We'll go with, option 4,
So what would, I'm sorry, before we do that, what was the reasoning for doing the 15% option?
Because you guys will get the $12,000 surplus, you know, and then if you guys needed that from repairs and different things like that, it's just, and then you would also only again have to do the 2% increase from there the next couple of years. So it's just another option for you guys to consider,
Okay.
really. Just to see whichever way you wanted to go.
No increase in 2028 and it dropped down to 2.
Chris, that's your area, which y'all recommend.
The hardest thing, you know,
y'all, but
like I said, I think the option 2 would be the easiest one to sell,
12%.
the 12%. I mean, 12%, you right at the rate that people in the nearby areas are paying.
Yeah. That's the closest.
I mean, the average right now is 48.64 a month.
We're talking about what's paying in these
Right.
areas in Assumption of paying.
That's what, I just averaged it out from the rates that we have from Magnolia and Utilities, is 48.64 a month.
Average? From
The
Magnolia,
average.
not in Magnolia, they pay about 36.
Say the average
Oh, average?
with the three,
Oh,
that was
with
given.
with 3 of them combined.
yes, the average.
Am I allowed to come up?
Yes.
Sorry.
The second one is,
If you look at the difference between 12% and 15%, you're only looking at $1 for 2026.
That make a difference, bro. That make a difference, bro.
when you came all the way from 24.
Yeah, but 24
it's a long
dollars.
way.
That make a
Go
difference,
to
dog.
12, and then after 3 years, we go to 3 or 4%, whatever.
Well, after the 3 years, we'll see what we get.
No, that's right.
That's why we really in the proposal need to ask
Yeah,
if
we
we
gonna see
can
where we
capture
at.
these households more so than what we think.
Okay.
If those rates can be flexible.
Because really and truly, you think about it. If this would have been done the right way from the start, I don't think we'd be in this predicament.
No.
Right now, we really don't know how many people are actually living in the district where they got sewers that is not paying. But I know it's a few.
We gotta get somebody to police it.
Well, how come you didn't say
I
anything?
mean, yeah,
You
that
know,
was,
it's in a-
How come you didn't say anything? If you
I've
knew
been
they was
saying-
doing it.
Well, look, I've been saying this for years, that they got people connected that haven't been paying. And I thought everybody knew that everybody wasn't paying because Jeff, when y'all, you was here, when y'all did the sewer system, did y'all make it mandatory that everybody in the district pay? Or
Or
was it
connect.
Connect,
connect?
connect, so you
Yeah,
connect, you
yeah.
automatically
connect
get
is
paid.
paid.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
How some
it's all or
people got
nothing.
away with
so
it.
I-
not-
so so many households didn't connect.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all know the answer to that. We not out there looking at what the engineer's
that police?
construction in a project.
Okay, so
So how we move from this point on? Can we get mapping, to help us with, from South Central Planning to map out each district and then we capture every household in that
you have to
district?
catch every household
Paul
in the
and
district.
Carol have already been working on this.
Who?
Paul
Paul
and
said it's
Carol.
not that
Oh,
straightforward.
it
He's
is.
not
But-
capturing that many.
He ain't captured.
And what he did, but what he did do is, because I got a call this week on it, he went one area, wrote down some address on the street, went brought it to the water company, say, charge everybody here. Which would have been fine if you came to the jury and say, okay, this is what we need to do, you know, y'all need to prove this up. But he didn't do that, so now you got some people getting charged that not even connected to the system. And I'm trying to figure out, well, when do you start getting charged? She said, first time getting charged. I called the board, they told me to talk to Paul. So I finally called Paul, got down to the bottom of it. He said, I didn't know what else to do. Well, you come to the jury with it.
But y'all instructed him to get everybody on.
No, the instruction was to find out who was connected and not paying. Because all along, I thought that it was mandatory that they pay. I know the state law said it, but the jury never enforced it. That's what my understanding of it was. So the instruction was to find out who's connected and not paying.
And get them paid to pay.
I recall, but
But he getting people that wasn't connected, never was connected and paying. But that's the way it should be
But that's the way it should be.
according to the law.
I thought, I guess I may be misremembering, but we'll have to just look back at the minutes, but I believe that we did decide that everybody in those districts
I think
should
so
be
too.
paid
No,
regardless if
we
they're
talked
connected or not.
about, we talked about doing, but we never.
All right, well, we'll revisit the minutes and see.
So.
Well, we're here now, let's just do it now.
So, with that being said, we'll have everybody that's not connected to connect. Back then, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, when those sewer lines were connected, there wasn't a fee charge, right?
It wasn't a fee charge for correct me if I'm wrong. If your income was at a certain level, you got connected for free. All right?
The connection is
Connection.
free. The installation of the system is free, but certainly the service charge you have to pay. That's not.
We know the monthly service charge you got to pay. But we saying, once the system got put down, to run the line, to connect it to the system, it was based on an income basis for the households, right?
The whole
It
district.
depends on how the project was set up.
I know that.
I can tell you that in some cases, only the plant and the and the main trunk lines were put in, and they didn't tie in anybody. And then other projects, they tie in everybody that qualified,
That's right.
okay? And those that didn't qualify
Had to
had
pay.
to tie in themselves.
That's right.
Hire a plumber,
The reason why I
etc.
remember, because when I came in office, Constance Sergeant contacted me because they was finishing up Bertrandville. They had a few people that hadn't got connected yet, and they hadn't filled out the paperwork yet to see if they qualified. I had to go knock on those doors
That's right.
and get the people to fill out the paperwork.
We're still doing that in different areas, still knocking on doors. We'll do that again if we have to.
So that's why these people never connected.
Because they didn't qualify. So they would have probably had to
Yeah, they
pay
had
for
to
it
They didn't
themselves.
qualify,
So they would have to pay
and
for
you
it.
didn't put the bill on their water bill, so they had no incentive to tie in.
So now, if they're forced to pay, they're gonna have to go and get a permit, right, to be connected.
They're gonna be forced to pay, and then they still ain't gonna be connected, so if they wanna get connected, they're gonna go get tied in.
But that's what they should have did from day one, and they chose to not to potentially.
So they're gonna be coming out with more money out their pocket, the ones who didn't do it, who didn't get tied in.
Yeah, my understanding that everybody get tied in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You put it there, it's
Yeah,
all.
It's all
In the
right.
district, yes.
So I know you mentioned this, the state law that they tie in. Is this enforced by the Department of Health?
Yes, health, hospitals, health, yeah, the Board of Health, basically, requires that. I know that in any subdivision that has community system of any kind, you can't put a MODAD system in or a septic tank or anything of that nature. You have to tie into the system. It's mandatory.
Yeah, and it's easy to control it once the system is down, somebody come in new, no, you can't put one down. But we talking about people that was already in the area, already had their systems down, just never.
It seems
No,
like our
it's-
fault was we should have charged everyone
Yes.
Yes.
from the onset, no option, not waiting for them to connect.
Every
Yeah,
Everyone.
address.
I can tell you the first plant that we put down, this must have been 30 years ago in Terrible. We put in a sewer plant in Crozier, nobody tied in. Because we only put the package plant in and we ran the lines. We didn't tie in anyone. So we went back to HUD and said, well, look, nobody's tying in. Can you give us some more money so that we can tie in these individuals that are low to moderate income? No problem. They gave us more money. We tied in everybody. And all the projects that we did after that were the same. Now, not everybody in Crozier qualified. And those that didn't qualify, they still got charged for the sewage. And that forced them to, of course, pay for a service.
You gonna do on time because you paid for it.
What's the point of
Who
paying?
paid for their tie-in?
That's, huh?
Who paid for their tie-in? The ones that didn't qualify?
You had to pay this.
HUD.
Okay, so
HUD.
that's the problem here, that these people would have had to pay for their own tie-in, from what Chris is
If they
saying,
didn't qualify.
If they didn't qualify.
if they didn't qualify.
That's correct.
Now, for you, Virginia, it's included in the project.
That's what I'm saying,
that
this all
everybody-
should have been included in the project, to tie in everybody. That
Was
way
it
we
like
don't
that for
have
Peterville?
problem.
Was everybody included in the project for Peterville?
From my knowledge, I think everybody in Peterbilt got tied in for free.
Okay.
From my knowledge, I don't think not one person at Peterbilt had to pay.
Because that was the last system that went
That was
in.
the last.
They probably got smart as the processes went on.
All right, so I need to be here all night with this.
I entertain a motion for one of the options.
I'll make a motion to go to 12%. 3 years.
Motion by Mr. Mathern for the 12% option to present to the Water Sector Commission for acceptance.
I second that motion.
Second by Mr. Carter. All in favor? Opposed?
Add the verbiage.
Y'all about to ask you that, with the
Yeah.
understanding of, within the next, what,
Well, the target is to get zero
Zero transfer.
transfer in year 3. That's why it's at 12%. And right now, that's what it's projected. Okay.
But let it, enable itself to add to the fund in case we need some money.
Why don't, yeah, they would have to give
Yes.
an exemption from their reserves they require. You know, I don't know if they entertaining that or not. So they want this rate increase, but this is to get their reserves where they want it as well, correct? Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this, and I know I'm pushing my foot right up on the line here. If they come back at the Water Sector Commission meeting and say 12% is a little bit, you know, because they just want to see the zero at the bottom line, are you guys willing to do the 15% option?
If they say no, what option we have?
If they say no to the 12%,
Give
would
me
you be
money
willing
back.
to do the 15%?
All right, let's complete that, the motion in a second. So we had, call for a vote. We had all in favor, anyone opposed? Motion carried. All right, now to the question of if they reject that 12% on the spot.
If they reject that, because they absolutely have to have, you know, the zero, would you guys be willing to do the 15%? I just want to know what flexibility I have in front of the board.
I'm not willing to do the 15.
Okay. Okay.
I think back to the original motion, I think the additional language we wanted in there was if this jury would have some flexibility with the rates, if the additional households being added generated more money.
not only we coming on with 100 with you in Virginia, but maybe an additional, I don't know if it's 30, 40.
I don't know.
All
what the
that's
number
gonna
be.
add up.
Now,
There's gonna be some numbers.
do we need to make a motion on the floor tonight to make sure all this, people in that district get bill?
I'd make that motion.
I believe we already did, but if y'all want
Just
do
to
it
make
again,
sure.
Leroy said we already did. I just don't recall we did it. Leroy, you said we did it. We just need to find it in a minute.
If we didn't, then we'll put it on the agenda.
Next
for
week.
another
Next meeting,
and
okay.
actually put it on there, but I really believe that we've taken that action already,
I
and
think that's what initiated Paul and Carol working on that project.
I believe so.
Okay, let's wait to see if we can find it in a
See
minute.
if you can find it.
Would you guys be willing to do a resolution for this, saying you'd be willing to follow this plan? Because in addition to that, if they're looking for a resolution, would that be something?
I mean, do we have to wait for another meeting? Can we not
Yeah, we could do it. I mean,
take
can we
action
do it?
tonight on it?
No, she's talking about
She's talking for the 12%.
the resolution.
No,
for
we
the
will
12.
have a resolution
Oh, yeah,
for that.
we will.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's what she wrote down.
I got you.
Yeah, you need to get that resolution in your hand.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
you'll have
okay,
that tomorrow.
perfect. So what I'll do tomorrow is I will send you guys a letter so that we can get the letters of support, if you guys are okay with that, and get that out to our representatives to proceed, okay? I'll keep you guys posted. We don't have a date yet as to the meeting, like last minute, so I'll let you guys know. And I'll send a
Thank you for your
revised
time.
copy.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you, guys.
It's
Thank
been
you.
tough,
Thank you
but
for
thank
patience.
you.
Thank y'all for coming in.
In addition to sending to our delegation, can we send to Representative Zarang?
Yes.
And, you know, since he's the chairman of that committee, just so that he can be aware of it. I know it's gonna be in the minute packet for him, but if we're sending it to the rest of the delegation, I'd like it to be addressed to him as
You
well.
want to send a letter of support to him or the, plan? in
No,
advance?
the plan and asking him to support our plan.
Absolutely, I sure can, yep. Thank you, guys, I appreciate y'all coming in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, for the additional households and trying to capture, I know y'all, we're gonna look that up, but is it as simple as going down Violet Street and getting all households on each side?
For certain streets where it's just a straight street, it's gonna be simple as
Simple.
that.
Right.
But then like, say area like Grant, Loop, Red Road. So everything in that loop, everything on that road is connected, but you also got Sugar Street that's connected.
So I may have to get Carol and Paul to get with the individual juror to make sure we capture the
I,
right.
I know certain areas, you know what I'm saying, it's the same thing like Peterbilt Loop. Peterbilt Loop is tied into Peterbilt. Okay, but then you got certain houses like right on the area, like on the highway, are still considered
And I
in that
think,
area.
I think that's why Brian has been trying to request an as-built drawing for all the plants so that he can see what was actually
Yeah.
connected. It's not being produced.
Yeah, because right now they got a mobile home just moved on the other side of Sugar Street. That mobile home got the capability to tie into that sewer system. Because of the way it was set up.
Well, we'll still work on trying to get those as-built.
Yeah.
So can you send a letter to Kim
Okay,
requesting the drawings for the as-built drawings?
okay.
I know, I think Brian comes back to work next week. We looked in the two locations that they should have been if they were delivered. We have one more spot that we have to dig through to try to, if they are there, they're there.
He did tell me that the ones that were there were the preliminary,
Preliminaries, yeah.
but
So
no
we-
as-built
Yeah,
to
no
show.
stamp.
Correct.
Right, and it, on the preliminaries, everybody's connected,
Yeah.
but on the as-built to show,
Yeah.
and that's what we're trying to get our hands on.
Send them a formal letter
Okay.
requesting.
Okay. I want a letter, a motion to that effect.
I'll make a motion to send a letter.
Motion by Mr. Ponville that we send a letter requesting as-built systems for all parish sewer treatment plants. Sewer treatment system. Second by Mr. Carter. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, before we move on, y'all might have saw this email that I sent y'all this afternoon. The waterworks failed to, add our notice in their billing, so they working on it now. Do y'all want me to put these three numbers for these years? For the sewer plants
No,
for
wait,
12%?
we got to see what happened first.
Okay, so we
Wait.
still doing $33, $33.
$33, yeah, that's going
So
for
we're just
January
gonna
1
go with that.
automatic.
Okay,
That's going
okay,
automatic.
just making sure.
Yeah.
All right,
In reference to those plans, that, because a lot of them have like a parish manager's name on it. That would be Mr. Bobby.
Yeah.
There was,
some of them were way back.
because I mean, I did find some of Mr. Jimmy's name on it.
Bobby and Jimmy, I mean, Murray were some of the first ones that were done years ago.
All right, that way, because I want to make sure, because I know what two of them.
Any other items referring to water sector fund? All right, next item, discuss the Legat proposed application.
Yes, just Pat Gordon with South Central Planning. Just looking back on the February 14th minutes of the police jury meeting, y'all had directed the grant coordinator to apply for 2 3/4 ton pickup trucks for under $100,000. And in talking with Aaron, that might be something that they're interested in doing again to meet the $100,000 cap. And so he said he'd be getting some estimates to me shortly. If Aaron, if that's what you're looking at. And also he'll be looking at what the remaining funds will be spent on, because realize that after the first submittal's made and we find out what Napoleonville submits, 25,000 could be utilized by Napoleonville, but 300,000 is being allocated to Assumption Parish as a whole. So you could end up with, 275, or all 300,000. So he's gonna be working on that, but I think initially we're gonna shoot for the 2 3/4 ton pickup trucks. That's good, Aaron?
Yes, sir. Like I said, I will.
Okay, thank you.
Could you give us some, I guess, general ideas of basically what the limits are on what types of purchases you can make with LEGAP? You know, what type of projects you could fund, what other parishes typically go?
Well,
We typically done equipment, but
Yeah, well, I know that, but the year before that, y'all had applied for, some renovations to the courthouse. So it's pretty broad.
Very
Uh,
broad. It's
It's
basically.
very
a
broad
slush
what you
fund.
can do. You can do maintenance work, you can do new construction, you can do, the purchasing of equipment. But I mean, in talking with Aaron, I mean, you can never go wrong with buying trucks.
The reason why we kind of gear towards just equipment is because it's quick and in and out. And LEGAP restricts your applications if you have too many pending. So equipment, we could close out. That 100,000 for that courthouse, that one's gonna be haunting us forever because it's just not forever, but it's sitting there for a long time.
Right,
Equipment is quick.
correct.
That's why.
So, yeah, I would suggest.
the other things.
Rayetta, we just got that application for LEGAP. Was that for his original 2 trucks? Remember, I gave it to you this week.
Yes, that,
That was the
enclosed trailer and a truck.
So we ready to move on those two. Yeah.
And in 16, I used it to, repair a pavilion that was torn down by the hurricane. In 16, I was able to use it for that. But it's multiple things you
They're
can-
very, very flexible about what you can use it for.
Aaron, do you need anything else?
Need a
Yes,
bush
sir.
hog.
I kind of been indisposed for the last couple of days, but I have a list at my office and it's some trucks. Really mainly still just, I believe if we do get some, we'd be kind of pretty much caught up with some current in shape vehicles. And I know we still have some surplus, but we're just waiting to get rid of now, so.
All right, let's
So we need a motion for 2 trucks.
motion to proceed. With
is it the 2 trucks or is it the enclosed trailer and?
No, we
Oh,
got
we already
that.
got that. We got that
Oh,
on. That's coming in.
previous
That's
year.
coming in.
Motion to proceed.
That one we can move on.
The gap, two pickup trucks.
Motion by Mr. Nakane that we pursue, LEGAP for 2 3/4-ton pickup trucks. Second by Mr. Mathern, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Or state bid contract.
Now for the remaining, I guess, approximately 175,000, right?
Yeah.
Once we know that amount, we can work to fill that list
Yes, we'll.
prior to knowing what it is.
Revise our application is what we'll do. That's what they asked.
I know Paul was trying
Well, I'd
to,
say his vehicle.
right, he
Oh,
was
yeah,
trying
he
to get his vehicle,
So, yeah,
so.
I mean, I talked to him about it too, but once we, I was probably going to work something in with how this went for him, so. With
Well,
that,
Just
To
get
be
them.
honest, to be honest with y'all, the last 8, 9 years I've been here, that the gap is guaranteed. So if you know that's what you want to get, and you know you're gonna have to revise an application, you might as well be ready to put it in. That's 100%
But we never
guaranteed.
knew about getting the extra money
Yeah,
any year.
This is always a new.
that's new.
This is it's the most I've ever seen them put up too. 300,000 per parish. Just be glad you don't have a bunch of municipalities. So,
Right.
Oh, yeah, they're fighting over it too, yeah.
Yeah, I think we can move quick though, once we get that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean,
I mean,
restroom,
unless you had something outside the bid.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a repair.
come on now.
It's a repair.
No restaurant.
Huh?
But it's coming. You're gonna get them, you're gonna get them.
I
Yeah,
done some
pavilion.
repairs to one of my restrooms that got hit with a tree. But I'm saying, that won't be enough.
All right,
All right, let's go.
my motion is,
So you need a resolution for that one too?
I don't need a resolution, I just need a motion.
Motion,
I did it.
we got
We
it.
did, you have a
We did it.
resolution tomorrow too.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. That'll look good on the application.
So our next item, is presentation from BetNet on biological sewer assistance to
Yes,
low
sir.
to moderate income families.
And just to let you know, I brought this up just a couple months ago. And Kim mentioned, are we gonna have any flyers, any handouts, which was a good point. And so Ebony has put together the flyers, very similar to the flyers that were sent out on By LaFouche previously. And Andrew Barron couldn't make it tonight with BetNet. He apologized. He said, go ahead and do the presentation and let y'all know that this pot of money, this $200,000 is geared towards low to moderate income families because we had so many individuals before that couldn't pay the match. Because before it was only, it was 100% for the first 1,000, and then anything thereafter was 50%. And some individuals had to change out their whole system, and they couldn't afford the 50% match on the remaining. So it was usually a mechanical treatment plant's about $4,000. So that's what we're looking at with this grant. Individuals that might have to change out their whole system, you know, if they're low to moderate income, they'll be able to get a full system at $4,000 at 100%. They do have to be the owner of the property, the owner of the house, can't be a rental. And when they apply for the assistance, we will look on the assessor's records then and there to see if their name pops up on the parcel. So this is what we've done in the previous programs, and this is a requirement of EPA and a vet. So this flyer pretty much explains everything, and we're going to have Jonathan Eastwood in our office handling the individuals calling in, and his name and number is at the bottom of the flyer. So if you have any constituents that are along by Lafourche or a few blocks off by Lafourche, and look, if they're in one of the sewer areas, don't give them the flyer.
No, they don't. I already know better than
Make
that.
sure that they can't put a sewer treatment plant in. And, but if you know anybody whose plant is giving them trouble, and I can tell you, you know, so many of the larger communities like Labadeville, Napoleonville, all of these communities, the high density areas have the old cesspools that just don't work.
You said off of.
It don't have to be just off of the Bible. It could be
Well, they
down
have to
in the
dr-
streets.
It's got a drain.
Don't be draining to the
watershed.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Right.
The map kind of defines that boundary, but we haven't turned anybody away that's just off by Lafourche, you know, a few hundred feet. So I just wanted to give you all that information, and we're going to be working on that. And Leroy, when I get together with Andrew, I'm gonna look and see if we can't do other areas of Assumption
That's your
Parish,
question. Yeah, let's
not
see.
just by Lafourche.
We have like Pierre Park, we
That's
have Bell River, and we got some older family lives there that got the old system.
Yes,
That's dumping it to the buyers.
yes.
No, we need to be to upgrade them.
What's the difference?
What's the
Difference.
difference? Why they
Well,
cannot?
the difference is that this is the drinking water for the Lafourche freshwater district, and that's why they
Well, I'm
address
pretty
that
sure
first.
people down the bayou drink Bell River water.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
well, when
Assumption Parish, St. Martin.
who is it? The Marlboro boy was with Lafourche
Ben.
freshwater. Yeah, Ben. He got together with Betnup and got this started. So, you know, maybe that water district needs to get together with Betnup and press that issue as well.
Yeah,
So,
like I
the
said,
question,
It's supposed to have quality water dumping in the bottom.
fire, that's all.
That's what betting up by the food.
Yeah.
So. This
Somebody's
is,
getting out
this
water
is,
mark
this
somewhere
is,
down the
somebody get on board.
this is to replace broken systems,
Yeah.
correct?
Not
Outdated, outdated.
What- Septic tanks.
Septic tank,
We got a lot of people still along the bayou got septic tanks.
Right. Let me tell you what happens. If an individual believes they're having some problems with their sewer system, they call us. We send an inspector out who's a certified inspector on sewer treatment plants. And he determines if it needs a pump out, if the mechanical plant needs a new aerator, if the line needs to be blown out, the drain line needs to be blown out to the ditch. Whatever needs to take place, he's going to make that recommendation. And then it's up to the individual, if they qualify, it's up to the individual to hire a contractor to have that work done, and we'll pay the contractor, or we'll pay the homeowner or reimburse the homeowner. In most cases, we issue the check to both parties, to the homeowner as well as the contractor, have both sign off the check.
What's the timeframe on this program getting started for someone to apply?
Let's start right now.
Okay.
It's right now.
It used to
And
be
but
4
once the applicant applies, we're only gonna give them 90 days. Because we had way too many dragging, year and a half, they finally were getting around to. But after 90 days, it's gonna be over. We're gonna go to somebody else.
So just see how far this extends, comes into PL Park, cause somebody taking out water too.
Myron, it doesn't.
They could.
Buy the foods.
Somebody drinking out water somewhere.
I don't feel that it should be extended to all residents along White Oak,
Yeah.
not just Lotamont.
Tawana, could you pass,
Now,
pass
just to let
this
you know
along
that
to,
This
out of
grant
your office?
does allow for some LMI, okay? 20% of the grant can be, can go to, those that, wouldn't qualify under LMI project. But we did have the two programs before, Viola Falls and Viola Foosh. But again, most of the residents that were, addressed with the Viola Foosh were from Assumption the last time. I think it was like 65%.
Yeah.
So it was a good, good number.
All right.
Thanks for that information.
Thank you.
Sir.
And we don't need a motion on that.
Our next item, discuss the LCDBG funding cycle and possible next letter of intent.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman Alcorn had asked about the LCDBG program. And in that program, the infrastructure program runs in 2-year cycles.
Correct.
So you put an application together for 2 years. And if you're not funded, then you have to wait 2 years for, to apply for the infrastructure grant. So as you recall, Leonard Lede was putting together this, application that we finished up for y'all. And it didn't get enough points and it wouldn't.
Melrose Lane.
It didn't,
There
It
was
wasn't-
two.
it wasn't
There was
funded.
two of them, but one of them was Belrose.
Yeah.
and it wasn't funded. So the infrastructure will start again next year, for the 2-year cycle or the 26-27 cycle. So the public facilities will be next year, make a difference, economic development, and the clearance program. All of these came up this past year, except for the public facilities application. I don't believe Assumption applied for any of those, but I don't think y'all were interested in the clearance program. That was tearing down people's houses. But we have done this. I mean, we put an application together for Franklin. We ended up getting about $300,000 to tear down a whole bunch of structures. But what we're gonna do is, as soon as we find out these dates, we're gonna come back to you with this handout and show you the dates that OCD will have for the letter of intent, the date for the application, and what you can do right now is, you see the little code on the second page?
Yeah.
This is a CDBG needs assessment. So if you click that on, it's a survey and it asks you what your community needs. And they will base their funding next year on the survey that comes back to OCD. So it's if you want to see some roads fixed in your parish, I mean, maybe you ought to put some roads down. If you're looking at housing, you know, it ought to be housing. But they're looking for input from the communities on what they should fund for next year. So that is something that the police jury could do now individually and submit it into OCD.
Are these different, pots of funding available? Are they, limited to low to moderate income areas?
All of them. Yes, it's all CDBG. And on the clearance program, the property needs to be low to moderate. That you would tear the house down. So just to give you that, I want to let you know that we're going to stay on top of this stuff. And we're gonna be back to you probably in January or February with the same listing and show the dates. There's gonna be some training. We'll attend those trainings and, we'll do as much outreach as necessary. But CDBG is a very detailed, it's the most detailed grant application out there. And the most difficult to administer by far. If you can administer a CDBG grant, you can administer anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is request approval of lowest quote for the load rating of the Bridge Street Bridge. Landry?
Both of the, proposals I received are in there. I don't have copies of the two negative replies. You can see, both their prices. And this is for the load rating of Bridge Street.
So the Principal Engineering Inc., total of those three comes up to $10,070.
Yeah.
And CJ Savoy is at 22,500.
Motion to accept the lowest bidder. Principal.
The lowest proposal.
I mean, lowest
Right.
proposal.
Motion by Mr. Alcorn to accept Principal Engineering Inc. For the inspection of the Bridge Street Bridge.
Second.
Second by Mr. Diaz, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Oh, funding.
Road Bridge.
Road and bridge. The funding will come out of the, road fund.
Road fund or road bridge, two different ones.
Which one y'all want to come out? I mean, we got money. Come out.
I think it should be on the road fund.
The road fund.
I
Ain't
think
no-
I'm on
yeah,
road
put out
now.
the- You good, dog. You good. You good. Road fund, Kim.
Request approval to hire APCC maintenance worker at grade 4, step 13.
I don't know. In my recommendation, I gave you a flyer.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Mr. Nakam, second by Mr. Mathern, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Request approval to amend ordinance 2421 to levy grass cutting charges totaling $1,294.86.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Alcorn,
Second.
second by Mr. Fonville. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval for the president to sign LAHEAP contract in the amount of $198,059. Motion by Mr. Carter,
Second.
second by Mr. Nakam. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any deviations? Nope. Motion adjourned?
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned by Mr. Mathern, second by Mr. Brooks. All in favor? Opposed?